Yeah.
Is this, Jonas, the best way to start a season?
At the Emirates, in front of our supporters, absolutely.
Against Manchester City?
I think it's been so many exciting games during my years here against Manchester City. Everyone, apart from the first one, has been decided by very thin margins. It's been, I think, exciting games to be involved in. I think it's been exciting games to watch, probably both as a supporter and as a neutral spectator. So, yeah, why not? That would be a great way to start the season.
Given that the men's team are also playing Man City and we know how close their title's been, could prove to be a very big and special day for the club. How much is it about you guys to set the tone on Sunday morning before all eyes are in Manchester?
I mean, we take great inspiration from the amazing work that they do over at the men's side. I think very much in a club you work side by side. All details matter. We obviously want to do our part in bringing a good momentum to the club, but ultimately I think everyone needs to focus on their own games and their own roles, responsibilities, and that's going to have the best outcome.
Wasn't the performance that you probably wanted, or the result you wouldn't have wanted going into such a big opening game of the season? You had to lift your players at all? Were they a little bit flat after that Hacken result?
I think we're a group that is very good moving forward and very good looking towards the next challenge. I agree with you in it was a disappointing result. I think we could have done a better performance as well in that game. We know what we did and what we need to do better and different, and we're all on the same page on that, and that was important for today. Then we met in that we have a really clear collective idea on what we need to do differently, and from there on we now move on to City with 100% focus.
When I asked you towards the end of last season one word to describe Arsenal under you last year, you said progress. Is progress enough this year, or has it got to be time to deliver a major trophy?
Without progress, I don't think it's possible to deliver major trophies. So, while that has to be our goal as an end product, our focus has to be on the daily tasks, in doing training as best as you can today, as preparing as best way possible for the Manchester City game, as playing that game the best way possible. And we can't let our minds already now rush to May and think about finals and think about league tables on how that is going to look like, because that will never lead to success. So our mindset needs to be about daily progress, needs to be about long-term programs. And if we're doing that, that's also going to lead to trophies. That's my big belief.
I was listening to Leah Williamson, who sat with Declan Rice, and the similarities are clear, aren't they? Both players have come tantalisingly close to winning a very, very big trophy with their club. And she says she does feel the pressure to deliver. Is that the sense that you might not think that, but your players know that now is the time? It's your fourth year, there's been a lot of investment, you're playing games at the Emirates. It's a change at the top in Chelsea, you know you're getting Man City to go one better this season.
Like I said in an earlier press conference, that sometimes people say pressure is a privilege. I go one step further and I say pressure for me is a necessity in order to reach high performance. And I'm grateful that we have pressure on us, because I truly believe that is going to form the foundation to get the best out of individuals, but also as a team in total. And I want us as a team to feel like that we need to make the most out of every day that we are together. And time is a scarcity in football. It's scarcity during the season. It's scarcity between season. No one is going to have a as a player is going to have a forever life career. The career is limited in time. So of course you need to make the most out of every opportunity that presents itself. So I'm really happy to hear that mindset, and that's the mindset we should have as a team.
And just a quick one on injuries, and Leah Williamson obviously was on the bench. Does she come on Wednesday? Will she be good to go on the weekend? How's that little problem that she had? Is she okay?
She is okay.
You look at me like I'm mad.
No, I was sort of thinking that I don't really have all the information yet regarding the whole squad. But when it comes to Leah Williamson, yes, there was a problem that led to that she was not in an ideal position to start the game against Hacken. That should not be the case now towards Sunday.
Okay. And do you know anyone else or not at this point by the sound of things?
No, I don't know anyone else,
And
luckily.
Just a word of congratulations for Amanda. We've seen a lovely picture of her baby. Congratulations to her. And any idea, have you spoken to her? Is she eager to get back, or is she just concentrating on being a new mom?
We're so happy for Amanda and for Rainer, her partner, and their very cute little baby, Mila. And right now, they need to stay together as a family. Of course, there is a plan to return to play. Amanda wants to return to play, but this first time here now, we need to be guided about what she's feeling, and when she's ready to return over here in the UK and start taking part in training, then we'll be ready to welcome her.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks.
Susie.
Hey, Jonas, you talked about not looking to May yet and focusing on day-to-day. How do you stop thoughts drifting towards the return game against Hacken? Like, how do you, you've got such a big game against City, obviously you're professionals and you work day-to-day, but given the first leg, then it must be hard to balance the mental side of things between these two games, around these two games.
Have you seen City play? It's not hard for me to keep focused on what we need to do in that game. Manchester City is a great football team, and there is no way that I'm going to put any attention to anything else than what we need to do in order to be competitive in that game. So no, that's not a concern at all for me at the moment.
Is there any frustration that this round of the Champions League falls either side of the first game of the league season?
No, it's not. It's we knew that well in advance. We have been able to plan for that also. I think the games coming in here now, it's been plenty of time now from the Olympics, who was the last international block to now. So if you want to play in the European competitions, you need to be able to play weekdays, you need to be able to play on weekends. And if we go into the group stage, that's going to be completely like that.
Looking forward to welcoming Viv back to the Emirates.
Like I said before, it's Viv has such a great history in the club. We wish her the best. I wish her the best. I truly hope that she has a really successful season because I think she deserves that. One of the big problems for us with letting her go is now that she plays for a competitor, and we know that she's a very, very strong opponent against us, and we need to focus on our part during the game. We need to make our things as good as possible, and from there on, that needs to be our focus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Kit.
Yeah, hi, Jonas. I was just going to ask one about Viv as well, which you kind of touched on there, that obviously you are probably the one head coach in the league, and your team are the one squad in the league that probably know her the best because of how long she was at Arsenal. So can you use that like familiarity at all to kind of find ways to stop her, essentially? Kind of, you know her game.
Yeah, well, I think though in football, you see there's not so many secrets when you see City play or when you see us play. You get what you see, and City is very distinct in their way that they're playing. They have a very clear game model, and they're very good at executing that. And of course, it comes the same to individual players. So it's not so much knowing beforehand what they're gonna do. That's not the secret. It's about being good enough in the moment to stop that. And with Viv, it probably works both ways. Yes, we know a lot about her. She also knows a lot about us. So it's gonna be who applies that knowledge best.
Yeah, obviously Viv is one of City's many very strong attacking players. It seems like they've kind of got threats coming from all angles. So how do you kind of make sure you neutralise City's attacking players across the board?
Yes, they have a lot of attacking talents. So do we. They also going to have 11 players on the pitch. So will we in the beginning of the game. And it's we played against City a number of times. And we know what's going to be important as a team to get control, to get momentum in these games. We know what things is going to be important off the ball and on the ball, and then it comes down to on Sunday to have real quality in those moments.
Yeah, you mentioned the games last season against City, which was so important in the outcome of the league, really, especially the one late in the season. Just when you're playing teams like City, teams that are likely kind of title rivals, just how important is it to get results?
Every game you play in the league, it's important to get results. If it only would be the games against the presumable top teams, then we would have won the league last season. Because we took 9 points against the top 3. If I'm not wrong, I think the other top 3 teams only took 4 points. So if that would be the only thing that would be important during the whole season, then it would have been easy last year. But the proof was it was not. So every game is important, and you get 3 points. So no different on Sunday. Thanks.
Thanks, Kit. Helen?
Yes, Jonas, everyone else is going on about the pressure and all that stuff, but I think it's actually to turn it into a positive. It feels like for you at the moment, every game is like a cup tie. Even the league games are like a cup tie. They're coming fast and furious, and everything I've read about players is they prefer games than endless training with no kind of like point to it kind of thing. So they'd rather do Hacken, City, Hacken kind of thing. So I wondered if there's a thing about managing expectations. You'd rather have it like this than have a huge gap between games, wouldn't you? Just like they're coming fast and furious.
Me personally, yes. That's how I live my life. I go game to game. I prepare every game, no matter what opponent, the absolute best way possible. And I expect the same thing from my players and my staff around me. We leave no stone unturned. We're relentless in the way that we prepare and we deliver. So I feel like that all the time. It's all cup finals for us playing, and yes, that's definitely my preference.
And what you just said as well about the top 3 thing is really interesting, because it was against West Ham, Spurs, those kind of teams where the expectation was here but the delivery was there kind of last season. So that's the ones I guess you've got to just treat them as cup ties as well.
You're right, because football is like that as a sport, that it's a low-scoring sport, and after the game, it's really easy to say, oh, it was these details that was the difference. But before the game, you know the game is going to consist about so many moments, and you need to treat every single one of those moments like it's the game's deciding one. And then it might turn into that. And it's the same goes to the different games you're playing. After the season, it might be easy and say, oh, that was the game that you lost the league to. Yeah, you know that once you can see the whole league table and you have the whole story. But the mindset has to be that every game is the most important one. And that has to go into our preparation, our logistics, the way we play the games, the way we act during the games, and so on. Thanks.
Thanks, Helen. Jamie at the back.
It's great to be back in front of you. Just wanted to ask on Steph, Catley and Lina Hurtig were missing on Wednesday night.
We have a timeline. It's not official, but Sunday they will not be available for.
Nothing more than that?
No.
And just in terms of the transfer window, it was a little bit of movement in terms of outgoings, more loan spells than anything. However, some really high quality players. How have you seen specifically players like Mariona Caldentey really come into the squad seamlessly?
She's a great addition to the way that we are playing. I think what I do see, if I take the Hacken game as an example, the front five we start with in that game, if we take them just as a front five, they played 0 minutes together. And that's the part where we find out things. Every time we play, we learn details about each other, about movement, how we can use, how we can cooperate, what preferences a player have, how we can get the best out of that. And we need to learn quickly. And that comes back to the first question. Is this season about progress? Not the end product. It's not about progress. But our daily mindset has to be about progress. We have to be curious. We have to learn. We have to get better every day. We have to find out all small things we can do to make things tick a little bit better. So, yes, I think Mariona's been great coming in. Doesn't mean that we don't have things to learn about her, or she doesn't have things to learn about the other players that plays alongside her. So it's work in motion.
You speak a lot about progress there. Obviously, last season against sides like West Ham and Tottenham, there was a bit of issues with low block, and you've probably grown tired of being asked questions like this, but against Rangers, there were solutions for that, and it seemed to pop up against BK Hacken a little bit more obviously. Do you see that progress in playing against low blocks coming through, or do you think there's still a bit of a struggle there?
This is the thing with progress. It would be so easy if it would be linear. I think BK Hacken was a step backwards for us when it looked like that. And that's what I meant when I said before, we know what we did in that game. We also very much know what we need to do better in order to do that. So BK Hacken was a step backwards, but sometimes you take a step backward so you can race forward.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jonas. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. Sam?
Hi, Jonas. Just a quick one from me. How impressed were you with the young players like Catley, Reid and everyone during this pre-season? Do you feel like you really got to see their quality? How much did they immerse themselves in the group, and what can we expect from the young talent at Arsenal?
It's a great question. It's obviously been a pre-season where we talked about having a fast start. We needed to manage a lot of different situations in pre-seasons with players coming from international camps and had various time off. And we needed to involve our academy heavily into that. And what a great part they've played. Some players played a lot, like Catley Reid, and I have to say I've been so impressed with her both in training and with the games she's played. I think she's really put sort of a strong foundation for the season, and that's the reason why we keep her as one of the 4 central defenders in the squad as well. But to your point, it's also been a lot of other good performances from young players, and for some of them, like Michelle Aggerman or Maddie Earl, the right decision has been to go out and play first team football elsewhere outside Arsenal. For some other players like Vivienne Leah, Freya Godfrey, Layla Harbert, Catley Reid, it's the best to stay with us and to train and to compete, and then we reassess in January.
Do you feel like the players around them have really been pushing them to their next level?
I think that's what's great with this group. The competition is so high, but in combination with that, so is the climate of learning and sharing experiences and offering that support to the young players. So yeah, I think it's a great environment for them to step into. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. Stephen?
Jonas, I believe we're expecting at least 40,000 supporters at the Emirates this weekend. The majority of the games will be there this season as well. How exciting is that to be back?
That's incredible. We talked about that a little bit today and saying that this is the first women's team that will come to Emirates and have that as their main home stadium. And that's credit to a lot of players and staff that is here now that has made that happen, but it's also credit to all the history and all the players and staff that was here before us. And it really feel that when we zoom out, that is a groundbreaking moment. And it's a privilege. But now with that privilege, it also comes a responsibility. And now we need to do something really great with that opportunity that has been presented to us. And we need to do that together with our supporters. And Sunday is the start of that.
We'll come for a quick one from the call. Tim?
Yeah, sure, thanks, appreciate that. Just one question, Jonas. You mentioned Lina has another muscle injury. Obviously, I'm not suggesting it's her fault, but that's happened quite a lot during her time at the club. And with Chloe going, I wonder whether, first of all, there was ever a thought to bring in another wide player, because I know you prefer to have four, or whether you really wanted to be fair to Lina, give her a chance, maybe review the situation in January, and maybe that's a part of why Freya and Vivlia have stayed as well.
I know this might come as a surprise when sometimes I hear people's opinions when we let players go or why we don't sign more players. But the easy answer is we have a budget. We don't have unlimited funds. Some things I get a yes to when I want. Some things, like any football manager, I get a no to. And we have to constantly adapt to that reality. And sometimes that means that we might go into a transfer window with one player less than ideal. Sometimes we have exactly those players. It's always priorities in how we spend our resources.
Thanks, Jonas. See you Sunday.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.